Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday, January the 18th, 2026. And I'm just standing here in the shade at the moment because it's a pretty warm day. It says it's only 17 or 18 degrees, but look behind me there, just a beautiful sunny day, no cloud in the sky, very, very warm, and perfect day for a walk around the football oval. The fallout from Friday night continues. There's been a lot of things said. A lot of people have had their say, including me, of course. And of course, there's so many podcasters and YouTubers and just media that all need content. And there's been plenty of people that have been willing to oblige, and not just on those types of platforms, but their own platforms, their own social media platforms. So, and some things being said by people that I was surprised about, let's just say. And they're all in positions to give their opinion. Don't get me wrong, but I was surprised by some of the comments that were mentioned about Michael Zerafa on Friday. But I'll get to those in a minute. But firstly, on this day, and let's go back to 1946, the resumption of professional boxing on the world scene. Of course, it was paused for the World War II. Obviously, lots of conflict there. Lots of fighters had to go to war, and just the state of the world. It probably wasn't great to have big sporting events going on around the world when there was so much happening. So yeah, that was in 1946 on this day that professional boxing resumed. In 1986, former Jeff Fennick opponent Samat Payakaroon won the WBC 122-pound title with a fifth-round knockout of Mexican great Lupe Pintor. This would be the title that Jeff Fennick would win off Payakaroon a year later in 1987 in one of the great Aussie sporting moments I think it was at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney, and that was on this day. So what else was there? In 1997, Oscar De La Hoya didn't stop. He decisioned Miguel Angel Gonzalez over 12 rounds to retain his 140-pound title. That was in Las Vegas. And in 2003, big one for Aussie boxing, Nikita Tszyu with I think it was a 7th round knockout or stoppage of Jesse James Lehar at the Telstra Dome in Melbourne, which would later become Marvel Stadium, which is where Devin Haney took George Kambosos' belts back in 2022. So a big day for Aussie boxing there. I think I was just going to say it might have been the first time Costa fought in Melbourne, but no, he had his pro debut in Melbourne against Daryl Hiles. I was at the fight. That was on the Fennick Nelson undercard, and he demolished was it Daryl Hiles? Yeah, in the first round. And I remember going to see him knock out Sammy Fuentes in the first round as well at Festival Hall. What a night that was. When Sammy Fuentes hit the floor, you could just hear the thud. And Festival had a great atmosphere in there when it was full, and it was full that night. It was fantastic. So that's what happened on this day in boxing history. Well, there's been a bit going on in the Aussie scene in the last sort of 24 hours, and Jai Patara involved as well, and I'll get to him as well. But first of all, the fallout, I suppose, from the Michael Zerafa and Nikita Tszyu fight on Friday night. And as I said, I've seen a lot of content just in different forms, just listening to it when I'm walking, listening to it when I'm driving, just a lot of people having their say. And one of the, I did see Jay McAllister, who's been fantastic. Jay's probably been the best as far as getting to everybody involved in the contest, probably apart from Michael Zerafa. Don't expect an interview from Jai. From Michael, but he's been very, very busy. Does a very, very good job. Does Jay, sorry, and I saw his interview. Well, not really an interview, just a conversation with Brendan Bradford, who's the reporter for one of the major newspapers up there. Peter Bedell as well, and just numerous fighters and the promoters, well, not promoters, managers, and whoever it might be. Actually, I think I'm not sure he interviewed George Rose, but anyway, he's been very busy. But I saw his interview with Billy Dibb, And Billy Dibb was just scathing. And this is probably one that surprised me, because Billy Dibb is probably one of the nicest guys in boxing. Does not say a bad word about anybody. He's very, I don't know, is he spiritual? Is he, I don't know, but he's just one of those guys who just never says a bad word, and always positive and always upbeat. And he, let's just say the word disgusting and disgraceful was used a lot. And he actually did sort of reveal that he messaged Michael Zerafa during the week just to say, hey mate, you know, best of luck, all the best, and thought he'd give a good account of himself. And I think he actually said he thought he would actually beat Nikita. But geez, how quickly that turned on Friday night. And he said it's probably one of the most disgusting and disgraceful things he's seen. He made a good point too. He said that he was a little bit dirty on Chris Condon, the referee, and I thought, oh, geez, that's something I haven't really heard. And he said, not that you can blame Chris Condon, by the way, because he was doing exactly what he was supposed to do, or did he? Because Billy's point was, well, why did he even take Michael Zerafa over to the doctor? And I thought about what he said, and I thought that's a really good point. He had no reason to take him to the doctor. And this is probably Billy's point. This is after calling Michael a quitter and everything else. And he said he took the first opportunity to get out of there. But he said if the referee, Chris Condon, hadn't have taken him over there to the doctor, he wouldn't have had an opportunity to quit. And I thought that's not a bad point from Billy. And what he's saying is there was no blood. And the cut was, even though it was on the eyelid, was not well, I mean, it ended up needing, I think it was 6 or 7 stitches or something. So obviously it needed attention and was a semi-serious type of cut. But he said that the cut wasn't bleeding at all. And most of the time when the referee will take you to the doctor as if they think that you can't see out of the eye and it's causing you dramas and everything else. And Michael showed no signs of any drama at all in between rounds. We've all probably seen and read and heard that he said to the cut man, "Am I sweet?" And the cut man, Matt Clark, said, "Yep, you're sweet. You're good." And he actually commented as well, Matt Clark, and said after the fight, and actually showed the swab with just a couple of drops of blood on it, and he said it wasn't serious at all. And he was surprised that the referee took Michael over to the doctor. But yeah, that's what Billy said. He said, well, I'm filthy with Chris Condon, because if he hadn't have taken him over there, and he had no reason to take him over there, then we wouldn't be having this conversation this morning. So it's a good point. It's a good point, because as I said, the doctor will not, the referee will only take the fighter over to the doctor if he's concerned about the severity of the cut. And when he went out to start round 3, you wouldn't have even known there was a cut there. So for him to take him over to the doctor was a little bit weird. But anyway, Billy, had plenty to say, and when someone like Billy Dibb speaks ill of somebody, well, you've got to take notice, I suppose. But I'll continue the rounds today. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come. I haven't heard from Jeff Fennick yet. I might have missed that, but normally Jeff's the go-to person in this instance here as far as a comment goes, because he'll always give you his thoughts. But we saw the Jeff Horn, and we had Stephen Edwards, his cut man, comment as well. From the Jeff Horn fight in the against Michael Zerafa, ironically, when he had that bad cut, and of course a lot's been made of Tim. I did actually see, and I can't remember who it was. Someone said they were really disappointed in Tim with his response. Now, his reasoning was, I can't remember who it was. I read it somewhere, and it sort of made a little bit of sense. But Tim, look, it was a very emotional time. Come here, man. It was a very emotional period of the night. Lots of things going on. Tim was obviously worked up about his brother and just being caught up in proceedings. But they said that, again, I can't remember who it was, but said that they were disappointed in Tim because because obviously Michael would be going through a lot in the last 48 hours or 24 hours, 36 hours, whatever the hell it is, mentally. And we can all lay the boots in and everything else, but I mean, this would be affecting Michael, and that's probably why I would implore everyone just to remember he's a human being, all right? So, but they said, well, the emotional, and we've read about it and heard about it, the emotional drama that Tim went through after the Sebastian Fundora loss, last year when he was called a quitter. A lot of people getting stuck into Tim Tszyu about quitting on the stool against Sebastian Fundora, and they said, well, Tim should probably know better than to go off the way he did, because he would know the mental issues that would happen after that. And Tim was in a very dark place there for a while. And I think it was actually said that the reason he wanted to fight by the end of 2026 is because he had to expel those mental demons that were just haunting him since that Fundora fight. And he was a little bit conscious about even going out and being seen by people, and he needed that fight just to get his mental health back on track. So they were disappointed that he carried on the way he did, knowing what Michael Zerafa is probably going through now. So I do, while I stand by everything that I've said with Michael, as I said, I think we've just got to realise as well and just be conscious that the weight of what's going on at the moment would be weighing very, very heavily on Michael Zerafa. And yeah, I know there's going to be people who say he fully deserves it, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think Billy Dibb actually did say, as far as the Tim versus Michael thing, as he said, the difference was massively is that Tim Tszyu had put up 6 pretty entertaining rounds and just given everything. And yes, if he said he quit, okay, he did, but he'd given his all when he quit. Michael looked like he took the first opportunity to get out of there. And I've watched the footage 100 times, probably like you guys have out there as well. And I'm still trying to get my head around, Michael with the denying that he said he couldn't see, and sort of, I mean, obviously we all saw it, but him trying to put a different spin on it. And even in the corner now, again, without going over it, I know you've seen it, as I said, 100 times, but, you look at what happened, and I want to just go over it a couple of times just to 100% make sure what I'd seen. And you can clearly see that, the doctor I think it was pretty much a standard routine. Well, I've got to show him to the doctor, he's got to cut, blah, blah, blah. This should only take a few seconds. And then the doctor and the referee being very surprised at each other. You can sort of see, well, the doctor turns to the referee and says, well, mate, sorry, you got to stop the fight. But you can hear that as he's walking over to the doctor, Michael says, I can't see. And then the doctor puts his hand over his good eye and he says, mate, it's blurry, I can't see. And the doctor turns to the referee and says, shakes his head and says he's got to stop it. And then the referee says, Michael, stop the fight. It's going to be a no contest, or did he say no contest? I think that's what he said. And Michael said, okay. That for me, apart from all the I can't see comments, that to me was the main sort of point I saw. And it's that one small little word is okay. Is when Chris Condon says, Michael, if we stop the fight, it's going to be a no contest. And Michael says, okay. That to me is a lot more telling than him saying, I can't see. And the thing is, well, and this is what I think a lot of people are saying as well, if Michael had just said after the fight, yeah, I did say I couldn't see, because you know what? I couldn't see. At least stick to the story and just say, sorry guys, there was an accidental headbutt, there's a cut there, I couldn't see, I'm really sorry, but my health comes first. And I think everyone would be filthy with him, but I think they would be, well, what do you want the guy to do? He can't see, it's not much we can do. We're probably going to hate him even more now, but the guy can't see, and I'm sure there still would have been the debate about if he could see and whether there's an easy way out and all that sort of stuff, but at least he would have had the initial story and he would have been able to stick to it. If he had just said to Ben Damon afterwards and said, yeah, I did say I couldn't see because I can't, I've got blurry vision, I didn't want to go out there and put myself at risk and jeopardise my eye and all that sort of stuff, I think people would have still been filthy, but they would have understood. And I don't think the backlash would be as harsh as it is in the last sort of 2 days. But instead by saying, no, I said it was blurry, but I was good to go. And I think we all saw that at no stage did Michael say, I'm good to go. Not that he was asked. That was a good point as well, but he didn't have to be asked. Because Michael said to Ben and in the change rooms afterwards, he said, well, the doctor never asked me whether I was good to go. I was, but he didn't ask me. Well, he doesn't have to ask you, because he asked you whether you could see, and you said you can't see. So under the duty of care of being a doctor, he has to stop it. So he's not going to ask you whether you continue, because it's taken out of his hands. You've said you can't see, so he has to stop the fight. So it doesn't matter whether you want to continue or not. You've said you can't see, which then in itself is his, interpreted as I can't continue. And that's just the way it is. But as I said, if he had just said or stuck to the story and said I can't see, I couldn't see, so I had to pull out. I'm sorry to everybody. I think he spoke pretty well after the fight, apart from saying I don't understand why everyone's booing. He knew exactly why everyone was booing. Why do you think they were booing Michael? The fight's just been stopped after 2 rounds. I know they wouldn't have known all the circumstances at the time, but they're all booing because they've all forked out hundreds or thousands or whatever it is to get to the fight, and all the people around Australia, of course, people are going to be pissed at you. You've just stopped the fight that everyone was looking forward to and sat through the undercards and turned up. No Limit wanted people to turn up to support the fight, and they did in droves. And by all accounts, the pay-per-view numbers were massive as well. So why do you think they were pissed off? I think or why they were booing. But if he had just said, I was just going to say, he did speak very, very well, I thought, in saying, well, I'm really sorry, guys, that this is boxing, all the rest of it. But everything apart from saying, no, I didn't see. So anyway, we've gone over it ad nauseum. I'm sure the fallout will continue. I did read Peter Bedell's article in the paper yesterday. Really, really good article. And I will say too, great job, Peter, on Friday night, along with Sean and Paulie and even Jonathan Brown. It was good to have Jonathan Brown there because I've been one of them has been criticised for having an AFL footy player in there instead of proper boxers or experienced boxers with boxing backgrounds. I think they had a really good mix the other night, and I thought everyone did a great job, including the host Megan Barnard. So not a suck job, the main event. I'm just stating I thought it was a good telecast and a really good job having Sean Porter and Paulie Malignaggi there. I thought they just balanced it out beautifully, and what they said was fantastic. I read the article by Peter Bedell, and he did say that looks like No Limit will drop Michael Zerafa. I think it might have been a 3-fight deal or 3-4-fight deal, and that's now expired. And by all accounts, they will not be renewing his contract. So Michael Zerafa is on his own, which is, when you think about it, what happens now with Michael Zerafa? I mean, he's got the biggest promoter in Australia has dropped him. So they've given him his opportunity, and pretty much the 3-strike rule, isn't it? I mean, he had his brother punching. We had the pullout with Tim. Then he had his brother punching Tommy McCurry, and now this. So they might be thinking, well, it's just too much work. Is Michael Zerafa? So looks like that's going to be finished. So what happens now with Michael Zerafa? I doubt that Tasman fighters would touch him. He's probably been with nearly every promoter in Melbourne, his hometown. I'm not sure what happens there. And the fact that he's jumped from a lot of different trainers and managers and promoters as well. I've managed promoted a few of Michael's fights as well. I'm not quite sure where the room is now to go. I mean, it looks like the walls have sort of closed in a little bit on Michael as far as people that he's dealt with and doesn't deal with anymore. What options does he have? And he did actually used to have Mike Altamura as his manager, and for whatever reason he split with Mike. And geez, and look, I think Mike's on into some bigger and better things, hasn't he? But yeah, where to now for Michael Zerafa? Maybe he could pitch himself overseas, but then the promoters have still got to have him pay his way. I mean, it's a really difficult situation for Michael. And again, even though I stick by everything that I've said and probably agree with what a lot of people have said out there, I think there's a line between having a constructive opinion to just some of the really nasty comments that I've seen online. I know everyone's frustrated, but there are a lot of people that just take the opportunity just to lay in for laying's sake, if that makes sense. And they're the ones I'm like, hey guys, just pull back a little bit. I did actually see that he messaged Daniel Gorringe. Now, if you're not familiar with Daniel Gorringe, he's probably one of the biggest podcasters out there. He's mainly AFL, he's an ex-AFL player, so up north you probably won't know about him. But down here in Melbourne, he's got a massive, massive following. And I'm not sure what he might have said, but Michael Zerafa actually messaged him directly and said, disappointed in what you said, let's hope we don't cross paths. So he's obviously still on social media having a look at what people have to say, Michael. I would probably implore him stay off social media, if I'm being honest. But I know these days it's very hard to stay off. He'd be conscious of what people are saying. But geez, I don't think he would want to hear what a lot of people are saying about him at the moment. But about him at the moment though. So we'll see what happens with him as far as his career goes. But I've just got real fears that this could be it as far as him, not necessarily him wanting to retire, although I know he said afterwards that was it, but I think that was just emotion talking. But I'm really, I'm concerned that he has nowhere to go. And if he does come back and a promoter does decide to get behind him, who or which one of them is actually going to be investing money into Michael Zerafa, because he's got the type of opponents he would need to get up to world level. I mean, they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. So who's going to put up that type of money, and there's no guarantee of a return on that investment, and what drama is going to come. So some interesting times for Michael Zerafa and his team. But again, just implore, just 100% have your say like I am now, but just the personal sort of stuff, I just don't think we need it. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm sure someone will say, just shut up, you're old-fashioned and whatever, but I'm just putting myself in that position, and it would be bloody tough for anyone concerned, regardless of what you think of Michael and what happened in the fight. There's some pretty vicious people out there, isn't there? And some of them actually take pleasure in really getting down and nasty, down and dirty and nasty. So anyway, the other big news in the last 24 hours, and I'm really surprised they dropped it when they did, considering that all the attention's on Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa, is Jai Pataya has signed with Zerafa Boxing, the first big signing for the Zerafa Boxing outfit, and happened to be our man Jai Pataya. So I did get the press release yesterday from Mick Francis, but with everything going on, I had to work, and there was a bit going. I actually missed it. I had to read it on social media myself. It's like, oh wow, that's pretty crazy. And then I checked my inbox and noticed it had been sent earlier that morning. So I probably could have discussed it on the video yesterday, although there was too much to talk about to even get into that. But great news for Jai Pataya. The one thing that did spark my interest, though, is he said, it was only a brief 11 or 12 second video, by the way, but he said that looking forward to unifying and Undisputed soon. Well, that flies in the face of what Zerafa Boxing and Dana White actually said about Zerafa Boxing when they said they're not going to recognise other belts. So what happens to his IBF belt now? So it sort of contradicted everything that they said by him saying, looking forward to unified and Undisputed. Well, no, it's not going to happen, because Dana White has clearly said they will not recognise the 4 belts. They'll only recognise their own belt and the ring belt. So is Jai Pataya going to be expected to give up that IBF belt? Very, very interesting. Morning. So while it's exciting, it's also a little bit confusing at the same time, I think, of what's going to happen with Jai Pataya. But a big, big signing from Zerafa Boxing. And I actually think it's a really good decision on their part. Forget the fact that he's Aussie and we all love Jai. The fact that they've pinpointed a very, very highly regarded champion, but who's not a superstar in the sport at the moment. So it's not going to cost them as much as, say, going after a Canelo or a Benavidez or, an Inoue or someone like that. So I think they've been smart about it, and it looks like they're just going to put the building blocks in place as they go and just try and pick off those Jai Pataya types. Maybe not the absolute superstars for starters, but the ones that have a big standing in the sport and obviously very, very good fighters. And build the whole organisation around them slowly. So, yeah, I'm excited for Jai. I'm excited that he's the first one. So there would be a little bit of trepidation there. I'm a little bit, I suppose, cautious of what's happening, because it's a brand new organisation, although having Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White behind it, of course, gives it a lot more cred. But obviously they've pitched a great case towards Tasman, Mick Francis and everyone else, because you've got to remember too, because I think people say, well, what's going on with Tasman fighters? Well, it's in conjunction, because Mick is also Jai's manager. So I would think that in this instance here, Mick would probably revert to a manager and then let Zerafa Boxing actually promote Jai in all his fights, and then they would obviously have an arrangement with them as far as remuneration and all that sort of stuff. So, and naming rights and all that sort of thing that goes with those sort of co-promotions. So Mick would have thought this through, and obviously thought it was the best decision for Jai Pataya, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes of it. The next thing was, I see that George Kambosos is also entering the promotion stakes, so it seems everyone wants a bit of a crack at promoting at the moment, because Canelo Alvarez is about to promote his own event in September as well. So there's lots going on there. So best of luck to both of those new promotional firms, George Kambosos Ferocious Promotions here in Australia, and Canelo Promotions overseas. So guys, that's going to do it for today. Give us your thoughts as always. Have a great Sunday, and we will catch you tomorrow.